Thanks for that, Krista. I'm Bobby Lee. I played with Kelly at MSUB from 2008 and 2012. I just want to thank MSUB for putting this together tonight. It's awesome for us all to come together and come back to Billings. I know it's been a while for some of us, and the first time for some of us to come down to Billings. And congrats to the two other inductees, Bobby Knutson and Bruce Parker. And thank you, Kelly, for trusting me enough to introduce you tonight. Hopefully I don't embarrass you too badly. When I think about my time playing softball at MSUB, there are many memories of close game, walk-off hits, diving double plays, winning the conference, going to regionals. But those memories of the games and the wins don't compare to the memories we built with each other and the lifelong friendships that were built on and off the field. For those of you that didn't get the opportunity to know Kelly, here's a little bit about her. She was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. She grew up playing softball. She played on a summer ball team called the Mystics and played for Mount Rainier High School before signing to come play at softball at MSUB. Kelly picked Montana for many reasons, some that I don't understand because it's Kelly. But one of them was that MSUB is in the GNAC, and we played in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, and those were all places that her family could easily travel to, and they did. We always saw all of her family at every game, which was awesome. And I knew that that was really important to Kelly. Kelly was unfamiliar with Montana when she moved into the dorms. Her freshman year, she had only been to Montana the one time, which was on her recruiting trip, before packing up and moving on. One of the things that I'll never let Kelly live down is the fact that freshman year she brought a lantern to the dorms. And me being from Montana, I'm like, what is this girl thinking? But she did get to use it once. I think there was a power outage. So she threw that in my face. But I'm not sure what happened on her recruiting trip to make her think that a lantern was appropriate. But she brought it anyways. Choosing to come to MSUB, Kelly got to experience our winter. And I'm sure she loved that. And since our softball season started during still our winter time, we had a lot of snow issues with practice and games. There's one time that I will never forget is when we had to shovel the softball field. And it took us 4 or 5 hours, and then we had to play the next day. So we were all really relieved that we were done shoveling the field, but then we had to show up the next day tired and sore and had to play the game. I'm sure we won, because that's what we did, but and then there was, as Tony mentioned in his speech, the camping trip that I'll never forget. Our freshman year, they told us that we were going to go camping, and Kelly turns to me and she's like, showers, bathrooms, like, what's going on? And all of us, everybody else on the team, super excited. We love camping. We love everything. And Kelly is just, like, concerned about her next shower and where she's going to go to the bathroom. And I'm positive she hasn't been camping since. One of my favorite campus memories of Kelly is with those turkeys that roam. I don't know if they still do, but for some reason they knew that Kelly hated them. So they always found a way to find her while she was going in between classes, and she was always so mad when she had to run from them or try to avoid them. And I loved it. There have been many unexpected encounters with Kelly adjusting to life in Montana, but she didn't let any of that change the way that she dominated on the field. She came to MSUB as a freshman and was a starting catcher from day one. For some of you that don't follow softball or understand the important pieces that make up a great team, the catcher is absolutely one of the most important players, if not the most important players on the team. The catcher is in charge of basically everything. She's got to call pitches. She's watching the runners. She's telling her fielders what they're doing wrong. That's what Kelly did. But she just took charge of that from her freshman year and let that roll on for her next 3 years as a starting catcher. After her freshman year, she earned Freshman Player of the Year and continued to dominate ever since. Kelly started 181 games over her career and hit a total of 35 home runs. Kelly usually batted in the middle of our lineup as one of our power or cleanup hitters. Being her teammate, when she got up to bat, we always had so much confidence in her, and we knew when she was up to bat, she was going to produce results. Kelly didn't leave anything on the table when she was done playing softball at MSUB. She gave it her all, and I think that everybody that knew her, played with her, watched her, or even played against her would agree with that. Kelly and I became good friends during our freshman year, and after that, every summer, I would fly down to Seattle, because I was from Great Falls. So I'd fly down to Seattle and then drive back the 12 hours with Kelly. The first time I flew out there, I was super excited to go to Seattle. I was like, what are we going to get into? This is going to be awesome. And then Kelly, next thing I know, she has me running laps around her parents' block. We're hitting the batting cages and we're hitting the gym. And I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be vacation. But that's just, I didn't know Kelly well enough yet, and that's just her mentality. Kelly didn't really have an off season. She was always down to getting better and pulling her teammates up with her. That was her dedication and focus to bettering herself as a softball player. It didn't matter if it was off season, summer, or middle of the season, Kelly always showed her work ethic. Kelly's success on the softball field was just the beginning to her success in life. Her hard work and dedication in softball did not let up, and it transferred straight to her career. After graduating from MSUB with her degree in communications, Kelly moved back to Seattle very quickly. She started part-time as an administrative assistant for a mid-sized nonprofit organization called the SEIU 775 benefit group, so that she could also coach a high school softball team. Once Kelly was done coaching, she began to work her way up in the nonprofit. Kelly is currently the director of customer service, which is in charge of keeping people happy. She has worked for the family of organizations for 8 years and has provided training, health and retirement services to home care workers in Washington State and Montana. Kelly is someone that I have always looked up to and someone that I can always count on. Kelly has been there for me in all aspects of my life, and I really couldn't ask for a better friend or a role model. I can honestly say that I wouldn't be where I am today, living in Washington, if it wasn't for Kelly. So thank you, Kelly, for choosing MSUB so we could cross paths. I know I'm pretty biased when it comes to Kelly, so I had asked a couple former teammates for some words that I could share with you guys tonight. So here's one. Kelly came in as a freshman ready to dominate and showcased her leadership skills from the start. Her energy, focus, and love for the game was contagious, and it was a pleasure being able to play alongside her. Kelly is a charismatic, outgoing, and kind, and at the same time, she gets things done and is hardworking and persistent. From the first time I had met her, I knew she was going to be successful on and off the field. Kelly is the true definition of a great teammate. She led by example, made others feel valued, and always gave it everything she had. As our catcher, she called a lot of the plays and pitches to put us in the best position to win and to be successful as a team. That's a lot of pressure to carry, but Kelly handled it like everything she does in life, like a champ. Last one. Kelly always held people accountable on and off the field. She made people around her better, not only on the field, but in life. Thanks for letting me ball outrageous with you. Up until today, there has only been 3 players inducted into the Softball Hall of Fame. And if you guys aren't familiar with those players, it's Cammie Love, Teresa Campbell, and Joey Enos. Now I'd like to introduce to you the 4th person to be inducted into the MSUB Hall of Fame, Kelly Parsons.
Bobby made me cry so much, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, Bobby, for that introduction. And truly, thank you, everybody, for being here with me tonight. I'm gonna try not to cry. I also have a cold, so I'm gonna try not to cough too. Many of you have known Bobby Lee for years now, and for her to get up and speak in front of this crowd, I know there's only one person in the world that she would do that for, and that's me. Well, maybe 2 now, Cheyenne. Bobby and I met when we were 18 years old, both naive freshmen, not knowing what our years at MSUB would bring us, but the best thing that it brought us was our friendship. I could not think of anyone else who supported me, helped me grow, and taught me so much to introduce me tonight. So thank you, Bob. #WifeForever. Being here tonight is truly a dream come true that every little girl hitting off a tee in their garage aspires to. And I was that little girl. The people in this room, some of whom cannot be here tonight, made this possible for me, and I wouldn't be standing here without the collective love, support, and dedication of those 3 tables that I call my tribe over there. This tribe helped me craft my story, building me up at every moment when I needed it, checking me when I needed it, motivating me when I needed it, and being here to support me, just like tonight. I started playing this sport because of two incredible athletes in my life, my sister Jan and my cousin Danielle. And I watched them play back in the days when I was playing slow pitch. And at the time, it was a very controversial decision because I was considering playing Premier Soccer, which if anybody can believe that, it's just ironic because forever imprinted in my brain, my high school coach, I was a very slow runner, my high school coach, she would always tell me to unhitch the trailer, so I have that imprinted in my brain forever. But all jokes aside, I heard a lot of stories about my dad being a competitive slow pitch player, and I figured I'd give it a shot. So I started playing on my elementary school slow pitch team. Shout out to the Mar Vista Orcas, because we're from Seattle. I was a utility player who found a little bit of grit, being bigger in size than most other third graders. And my dad gave me my first glove, which I later realized would be his stamp of approval and a commitment from him that if I was going to play the game, that I would be the best. My family found a team locally called Rapid Fire, and although I never played fast pitch, they took a chance on me. It was kind of like an episode of the Bad News Bears. It's later realized the team that I was on. I was scrawny and I played second base, if also anyone can believe that too. And I was terrified because every other girl on the team had played fast pitch except for me for years. My coach was a dad of another player, and we all know how that can go. He praised his favorites, and he would later tell my parents that a future career in softball for me wouldn't be wise because I was too timid, too scared to hit, and had a deer in the headlights look when I went to the plate. After that, if this room knows my mom, she started that "you're not gonna treat my baby like that" attitude. And my stepdad encouraged me to look for other teams that were more competitive with better coaching, and for that, I will forever be grateful to Roger. It opened my eyes to a whole new team of people and girls who loved this sport and made it their life. I bounced around on a few teams that were competitive, but it was just far too drive to 2 hours plus to practice 3 times a week. In Washington, all of the good players and teams with money live in the North End, and we lived in the South End at the time, and there weren't very many options of teams in my area. So my stepdad took on an offer that he couldn't refuse to coach a girls team my age, and we called the team the Mystics, and it was purple for my mom's favorite color. In the early years, the Mystics was another chapter of trying to find decent talent with a young and eager team, and good players that were, willing to join an up-and-coming team in the Seattle area is hard to come by. There's a lot of talent there. We had some tough years, losing more games than we won, but Roger said that we would always be able to get to a 500 winning percentage, and that would help us become the team that we needed to be. And because he said that, he taught me so much with just that little lesson of setting incremental goals and achieving them. He would later teach me that when you break the game down into small bite-sized pieces, like winning every at-bat, you would see success, and that paid off for me in the long run. The Mystics, over a number of years, would incrementally gain more wins, garnering more talent, and by the end of my career, have a reputation for being a very competitive team. Something about being overlooked and underestimated by some of the larger programs in Washington played to our advantage. The day that Roger stepped into a coaching role is the day that I stepped into a leadership role. Not knowing my natural talent as a leader, I would always be called intense and direct and bossy, but it helped me become the leader that I am today. I was joined in my leadership co-captain from my dearest friend, Courtney, who is somebody I consider one of my closest friends and I'll forever be grateful for. When we were 16, she and I were in the trenches together, and we were holding each other to high standards, supporting each other, and creating a team culture and a bond that couldn't be matched. I was still a scrawny kid, now splitting time between shortstop and third base, and starting to find a groove hitting, no more deer in the headlights, and quickly becoming a utility player on the Mystics, because that's what happens when your stepdad coaches the team. I would be entering high school later that year, and I knew that they had a stud senior third baseman and shortstop, and that those positions were taken. I was nervous to play high school ball because my high school was good. They had taken 4th in state when I was an 8th grader, and I knew it would be a bigger stage than I had ever played on before, and a completely new set of teammates and coaches and expectations. My high school coach let me know that they were graduating a senior catcher and that that position would be open. And conveniently, the exact same thing happened on the Mystics, and so the turtle suit was my calling forever after that. I started catching, which was a position my sister had played, but it was a huge learning curve, and the amount of action, strategic mindset, the things that you need to do to be a leader on the field was the combination of action that I hungered for. I started wearing ankle weights to high school every day to get rid of my scrawny legs and bulk up underneath my jeans. I also started taking lessons from catching icon Kristen Rivera, who coached at the University of Washington. She was not cheap, but she was the best in the game locally, and my parents made every sacrifice to get me in front of her on a weekly basis. This meant my mom and Roger blowing every tax return and spending it on softball. And this meant my dad taking a second job so that he could pay for my lessons and travel exposure. Their commitment to my success is the most selfless thing a parent can do. I reached about 16, and by this time, softball was my life. I spent every waking moment on a tee in the garage or the custom batting cage that Roger built for me. I practiced, I traveled, I lifted weights, I took speed and agility classes, private lessons galore. I began to treat this new routine as my work ethic because there were only 9 spots in that field, and I wanted one of them to be mine. This is about the time I met Marcus, my low inside fastball. I call him my low inside fastball because that's my favorite pitch, and he quickly became my favorite person to be with. We would spend countless hours on the phone while I would sit and toss a softball in the air every night to work on my rotation so I could throw harder and faster. Even if this meant sometimes getting distracted, hitting myself in the face with a ball, and having him rack up a $1,000 cell phone bill. This is when we used to actually have to pay for cell phone minutes back in the day. And for the record, he paid for it himself. Marcus quickly became my confidant and the person I would tell all my frustrations and fears to. And little did I know at 16 that he would be doing that same thing for me here today. I cannot express how much your support of my career helped me be the player that I was and the woman that I am. By this time at 16, it's kind of hard to decide if you want to lead a less structured life, one with your high school friends, going to dances, hanging with them on the weekends, or do you want to commit to the sport that you love and lead a different lifestyle? One that's on the road, one where you constantly miss school and always trying to catch up on what was going on at home. I know many of you can resonate with that feeling. However, there are 2 people who Marcus will be marrying in beautiful Costa Rica in a few weeks who never made me make that choice. Justin and Julie have both been in my life since I was 13, and they're friends for life. They came to my games, they cheered me on every step of the way, and they understood that I was leading a different lifestyle that was different, but they were always supportive of it and proud of what I had done. This bond, I would later realize, was one that could not be broken and prepared us for the toughest year of our life, this last year. They are the true definition of strength and loyalty. I was spending the majority of my weekends in high school traveling out of state for that one opportunity to get in front of a collegiate coach and take my game to the next level. My sister Jan, who was a stud catcher and a top recruit in Washington, no pressure, thanks Jan, started playing collegiate softball at Cal State Northridge. She was sought after by so many coaches, and I saw that I could potentially do that too. Even after a year with a broken hand and a broken nose, that happened in the same year, I decided to double down on my commitment to softball and pour my whole heart into it. It was an exciting time in my life, the possibility of becoming the first Parsons in our family to earn a college degree, play the sport I love, and continue to develop as a leader. A Mystics trip to Colorado my junior year of high school got me spotted by the MSUB head coach, and from there we started communicating back and forth. I planned my visit in the fall, and I was very nervous. I was terrified. I ended up visiting with a few other recruits, having a tryout with my future teammate at a time when I was still amazed by the cafeteria breakfast burritos, let alone being a yellow jacket Everybody knows those breakfast burritos. Shortly after my trip, my family and I talked. In between walking into an open spot with my name on it as a freshman, an academic opportunity for regular class sizes and a good education, and playing in a conference that allowed me to have everybody back home see me, I was sold. I signed my letter of intent in September, and it was one of the best days of my life. Next to today. I wrote out my senior year pretty cushy, as most seniors who have signed do, and was excited and nervous about what college would bring me. And that summer I packed up and I hit the road 12 hours to Billings. When I arrived in Billings, I met my new roommate, Satin, who's from Gillette, Wyoming. And she's not an athlete, and her and I couldn't have been more different. But she was from a small town and I was from a big city, but in our hearts we were the exact same. She was someone I could always come home to in the evening and decompress with, and when we would practice late, she would bring me food from the restaurant that she worked at so that I could have a decent dinner. She is someone who would later cheer me on at games and remain a friend forever. Over the course of my career at MSUB, I honestly can't describe to you every coach and player that made an impact in my life because there were so many. That is what originally sold me on coming to MSUB. It was a family mentality, and we were in it together. My freshman year, I really didn't know what I didn't know. It was kind of a blessing to be unscouted in the conference, coming in fresh and ready to play. You didn't get fed the worst pitches. You surprised people with your talent because they have limited expectations when you're a freshman. And as I mentioned before, I always wanted to be in that top 9, and I knew that I was going to have to work harder than ever to play the game at a new level. My coaches, Coach T, Aaron Jackson, Boomer, Tony Stone, all spent countless hours with me. Collectively, they taught me so much about the strategy of the game at the collegiate level. It aided in me being able to call a lot of my own plays, my own pitches, and gain their trust in my decision making. This is, of course, after countless hours of blocking drills, wall sits, bullpen catching, extra cardio, and time in the classroom. They helped me understand that my individual contribution on the team can be so much greater than my performance. I had the ability to ignite the team and work so intimately with our pitchers that my mentality could be contagious. They helped me harness the real power I had inside myself. So thank you. I have so many amazing memories and stories about all of my teammates, most of which are not appropriate to share on the stage tonight. I couldn't even tell you them over the next few days. But the most amazing thing that I learned from them is about love and about sisterhood. I'm grateful to all my teammates for teaching me so much throughout my 4 years at MSUB, and even more grateful for the fun times, the wild times, and the tough times, because we were in it together. From sleeping on the floor of the Mother Bee, to running lupes, to rolling the tarp, to being inside or outside of the bubble, to every time we did good, better, best before every game, to staring at those rims for every national anthem, to regionals, to championship games, we were in it together. I am grateful to all of my teammates, but I want to recognize a few of them that are able to be here with me tonight. I'm grateful to people like Leslie Davis for teaching me to lead by example. Leslie was the type of player who had so much grit, love for the game, and always stepped up big when it mattered. I'm grateful to people like Crystal Huffman or Bentley for teaching me and reminding me to always have fun and keep things light. This was something that we loved to do, and we loved to do it together. She never let us forget that. I'm grateful to people like Becca Satsa, for having an unmatched work ethic. There is no one I'd rather catch countless drills for and learn that there's no replacement for quality time and practicing from than you. I'm grateful to people like Bobby Lee, who taught me about overcoming the hard times and shining in spite of them. When we were sophomores, Bobby was diagnosed with a rare condition called MG. It made her weak. She had surgery and got treated, and she came back with vengeance our senior year and hit over 400. I'm grateful to people like Jenna Van Eikren for pushing me to be my best. Jenna came in when I was a freshman, and she had all the tools. She was also a catcher, and she made me work hard for my spot to be in that top 9 every single game. I'm grateful to people like Meg Harrison-Chuck for helping me elevate my swag and my demeanor. Chuck was somebody who oozed confidence, and it's contagious. She's somebody that you love to play with and hate to play against. And I'm grateful to people like Kylie Hilliard, who allowed me to lead and helped remind me in the tough times that we needed my leadership. And I'm grateful to people like Katie Jackson, who I never played with, but I had the privilege of coaching. She helped me hone my coaching talents, leading our team to 4th in state. And I was so inspired by so many of the teammates that came before me. I was inspired by people like Teresa Campbell, Cami Rainey, Cami Love, Lane Pavey, and Joey Enos, whose reputation of being the best preceded me meeting them, but I wanted to be just like them. I had the privilege of playing and learning with some of the best athletes that MSUB has ever seen in the softball program. Jessica Frank, Rachel Kornberg, Jenna Hockey, Tarina Stacks, the list goes on and on. I just had so many amazing teammates, and they helped me shape my leadership style and my playing style. All of the people in this room tonight, they fueled me. They filled up my tank when I was out of gas, and they reminded me that being a good teammate was even more important than my individual talent. This award is a culmination of every single person in this room who gave me the gift of learning from them, growing with them, and still to this day, loving them. The coincidence that this is on Valentine's Day is kind of ironic because I feel all the love in the room tonight. My tribe and my story are not different from many other student athletes who played collegiate sports. The only thing that was different is that I really embraced what being a Yellow Jacket really meant. It meant being a family, and above all else, that is why I'm standing here today. I had the excellent support and guidance of so many faculty and staff, from the trainers who helped me stem my bum knees to freezing cold ice baths. They were there for me. Krista and Brent were always in my corner, helping me with new opportunities, including becoming the Student Athletic Advisory President. And I can always hear Dr. Harris's voice in my ear reminding me that there's life after college softball, and you have to think about something else. And if you continue to build these skills and hone them, they will help you in the future. To Dr. Elliott, giving me much needed relief on my tired knees. He provided me knee surgery and quick physical therapy in my junior year so I could play that same season. The Yellow Jacket family is my family, and there's no family I would choose over them. I embody what being a team player in a Yellow Jacket means every day in my career, and I'm so thankful to have MSUB shape who I am today. As a senior, you start to get really nostalgic. You get nostalgic and reminiscent about the impact you made and hopeful about the legacy that you leave behind. Even if at times my legacy needed some bribing from Roger with $100 per home run and a new car if I hit over 400. And for the record, I was only 0.04 points shy from that, but Roger's a numbers person, so I got to give it to him. I considered for a brief period of time extending my softball legacy and playing overseas. However, ending my last plate appearance with a broken bat was just the omen and the nudge that I needed to hang up those cleats, go home, and start a new chapter of life. I am proud that my legacy is here tonight on this stage, and I hope that I inspire a future generation to dream big, to work hard, and that anything is possible. I want to thank my family, particularly my sisters, Jan, Nancy, and Lisa, for all of their support and toleration of living in a softball household their entire life. They know the sacrifices that we made as a family for me to succeed, and that's tough when softball always comes first. I want to thank all my uncles and aunts for coming tonight and for coming to so many of my games. You know, when you have your family come out and support you on the road, it's one of those things that keeps you going, and it reminds you that you have a whole arsenal of people who are proud of you and who believe in you. I also want to thank my grandparents who couldn't join us, and some of whom have been looking down on me for years. Grandma Frida, Nana and Papa, and Grandma and Grandpa Mosier, thank you for instilling hard work and inspiration into my life every day. I also want to recognize that I have about a dozen family members who've made the trip out to see me tonight. I couldn't thank each of you enough for being here. It truly means the world to have your support. I also have to thank Marcus. Marcus has been by my side for over 15 years, and without his commitment to my success and happiness, I wouldn't be here. He is the one person who never stood in front of me or behind me, but always right next to me in every fight, in every hard time, and in every victory, and I know he will for the rest of my life. I'd also like to thank the Bristol Bay Native Corporation. I'm a proud Alaskan Native, and they helped me with scholarship dollars to ensure that my future would be guided by our way of life, and that's helping one another. And I have to thank my parents, my dad, my mom, and Roger. Their undying support is exactly what I needed to be successful both on and off the field. They made sure that I put as much energy into my teammates, my schoolwork, and my character as I did the game. They made sure that they traveled to every single game, which is a feat when you have a full-time job and live 1,500 miles away from Billings. Whether I was in need of a fuel up on beef jerky, or if I needed them to listen to a paper, or if I needed them to be my shoulder to cry on, they were there, just like they're here tonight. They were always there with every home run ball after every game and would later display it on my dad's entertainment center to anybody who would listen as they boasted. And in the hard times, they were there to remind me why I started doing this in the first place. Because I love it and I'm capable of anything. I want to thank my coaches, I want to thank my teammates, and I want to thank the administration for this prestigious award. I'm so honored to be joining Joey, Soup, and Love in the Hall of Fame. There's nothing more in my life that I wanted to be standing on